We begin in Baltimore, Maryland, where the city there is still reeling after street uprisings engulfed a number of inner city neighborhoods on Monday night. Community members have taken to the streets to lend a hand in the cleanup efforts. The uprisings took place following the funeral of Freddie Gray, who died in police custody on April 19th under suspicious circumstances. Protesters outraged by racism and the killing of African Americans by police clashed with law enforcement officers and burned vehicles in different parts of the city. Some residents say the environment will only improve if the community bands together.
I think it can recover. Baltimore will recover. I think it'll recover. Sure, but it's going to take, people getting involved, getting in the trenches, not just standing behind a lectern or when the cameras is on or whatever. You got to get down here in it with the people. This is where the people are. This is where they're hurting.
And many really see the Baltimore protests as a response to systemic racism against blacks and other communities in the United States. Authorities have responded to the confrontations by militarizing the city. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan declared a state of emergency and has activated the National Guard. 5,000 additional police officers have been requested and a curfew has been placed on the city.
We've ordered a curfew be in effect, instituting tomorrow the curfew citywide, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Again, there will be a citywide curfew, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. This preliminary curfew will last for 1 week and be extended as it is necessary.
And let's take a closer look now at the city of Baltimore and its police department. Here are some stats. Nearly 24% of Baltimore City residents live below the poverty line. In Baltimore City alone, 31 people died in police encounters between 2010 and 2014. In the state of Maryland as a whole, 109 people were killed by the police between 2010 and 2014, and more than two-thirds of those killed were black. Police officers were criminally charged in only 2 cases out of the 109 incidents. And finally, there are more than 140 state and local law enforcement agencies in Maryland, but no official tracking of how frequently or under what circumstances they are involved in civilian deaths. We're going to go live now to Baltimore. I'm joined by community organizer Michael Coleman. He joins us on the line. He works with the United Workers Association. That's a human rights organization there in Baltimore. He was also born and raised in Baltimore. Michael, thanks for joining us to start. You have lived in that city for a long time. Obviously, the immediate catalyst of this uprising has been the death of Freddie Gray. But in your opinion, what other factors have led to people taking to the streets? What other issues have been simmering below the surface in that city throughout the years that you think have contributed to this anger that we're seeing now?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak on this issue. And I really believe, I know because I've lived here for my life, that the problems that we face here are systematic. There's been ongoing lies and disrespect from not just authorities, but the leaders of our city. And people are just tired. There comes a time when the pot boils over, so to speak. And people are tired. We reached a tipping point here in Baltimore.
And Michael, do you think we're seeing coverage of what you're describing as a systematic problem there in Baltimore in the mainstream press? How is the press there portraying these events, what we're seeing now?
Well, they do as they hope to. They put their spin on it and turn it into something less than what it really is. So instead of saying there's been a long time neglect, there's been deliberate pushes to keep those in poverty, they will simply say something like, oh, the people are mad and Freddie Gray is mad. They won't exercise patience to allow due process in the investigation. Well, when we see time and time again that the process doesn't work in favor for the people, then there's no reason to believe their system will actually produce any just results.
And Michael, so what do you think's next in Baltimore? Will this violence be calmed? Will the city go back to normal? And will there be any changes as a result of this movement and similar ones that we've really seen throughout the country over the past several months?
Well, absolutely, there will be change. Absolutely. As to how soon will the violence die down, I can't say. I'm not sure. Um, because not only here is there a problem, but this is throughout the country. Whether we're talking about Michael Brown in Missouri or Trayvon Martin in Florida or Art Gardner in New York or any of the countless young men who have been murdered by authority, police authority. But I do see there being a great effort to organize people and move the country forward in an organized and positive way. Right now, what we're seeing is chaotic energy. There's a lot of energy out there. And if that energy was harnessed and pushed in the right direction, you can see significant change in this country. And I think it's about time for it. I really think we are at the cusp of a really serious, necessary change.
Well, Michael, that's what we'll be watching over the next several months as we continue to watch the situation there in Baltimore. Michael Coleman, thanks so much for joining us from Baltimore, Maryland.